Right, welcome everybody. Let's dive in. We'll just start sitting for just a bit, if you're not already. These first few moments can be so special, and without expectation, we give ourselves, in the energy of allowance, we give ourselves permission to land, to show up, taking full advantage of the time that we have carved out for ourselves in the space that we're in and the flow that we're in. And so the first exhalation that you experience is a little bit more conscious. Consciousness embodied. I've always been fascinated with how that feels. What is the experience of embodied consciousness? And so when the exhalation is conscious, you can maybe feel several things. One is just it's a bit more grounding, or sometimes profoundly grounding. Something that I find is that the breath is closer to the bone, so that you could and are actually exhaling and emptying the bones of residual tension, of residual story. And the beautiful part about this is I find the deeper gifts of embodied consciousness are through the practice of allowance, which cultivates spaciousness, and then within that spaciousness, we engage. So as you push your sitting bones a little bit more enthusiastically down into the ground, reciprocal in how the crown of the head goes up, there's a yes in that action. There's a wordless statement of agreement with life and everything that we experience. And so one of the baselines in this practice is variation and creative impulse. So change the way that you're sitting, doing something different. It doesn't matter what it is. Just take a leg out or put the other leg in front. Move just a little bit. Lay the hands on the body and just kind of this, the key of sitting describes the human shape, the shape key of sitting, and the ancient lineage and experience of humans sitting, and especially when we have had the practice of awareness in sitting. When you move, just leaning in a little bit to one side, or doing your own thing, go very slow, because we are explorers, right? And we're curious. And sometimes we grow complacent and we lose that curiosity, or it dulls. But here, let it be in the body as you did when you were a baby, just kind of looking around within yourself and strengthening the movement by, and I had a question the other day in a class, it wasn't here, that she asked, when I say turn everything on, she wanted to know what that means, right? And I know it sounds kind of like maybe we take it for granted, how difficult it can be to turn everything on. So feet and the flesh around the ankles, all the way up the legs, and through the pelvis, through the core belly and the back and the sides and the buttocks, and then all the way up through the upper body. So articulation is global, breath is global, and the engagement is global. It's supportive. And one of the ways that you, as you change the way that you're sitting yet again, one of the ways that you can discover how to support yourself is to tone locally, to engage more locally. And what this means is if you feel a knee that's not happy, or a sacral joint, or a shoulder, arbitrary examples, how do you engage locally as you continue to move? So here's just a beautiful invitation to your own personal practice. Let's say that I'm here and I'm feeling something in the left sacrum. How would I support that? So I'm going to move within that range, and you can be in any position you want. I'm just showing you one example. You move around in that range. I'm pulsing front to back, and the movement it's informative, it's contextual. So it gives me a chance to maybe feel, can I turn on my left leg more? Can I turn on the left buttocks more? So you start to, through the movement, realize that movement informs life. It is experience. So anything that is tender or raw or exposed doesn't feel quite right. Don't avoid it. Don't run away from it. And definitely don't push against it. But do explore it as best as you can. And this is kind of a common denominator through all of our practice. Change the way that you're sitting another time. And let the movement continue. I like to catch myself and go half as fast and twice as strong. And so what that might look like is, let's say I'm just kind of going fast, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I'm going to miss a lot. I'm going to miss a lot of sensation as I go this fast. And suddenly I'm like, put the brakes on and really engage. It's like you're pushing and pulling against the earth and against water as metaphor. And this is where we go exponentially deeper into our practice, stronger, more articulate throughout the body, pandiculation, and more breath. And let the head look around. So the head is free. It's not bound by the experience, bound by the movement. It's inspired by it. And in time, you'll probably start speeding up again, and that's fine. But so very often, whether I call it or not, try to slow down and strengthen. And work your shoulders, and work the neck, and work all of the belly, all of the lower half of the torso, and all of the legs. And the legs can be very difficult because the feet way out there at the end of the leg. The feet are like, their experience is just shoes. Okay, so it can be quite limiting. So how do you articulate the feet actively? Something to inspire, something to invite. And again, change the way that you're sitting. And keep moving. So remember that the primary motive, right, in movement is this translation is through the pelvis. So try to articulate the pelvis more as a focus than articulating anything else, especially the diaphragm, the chest, the chin. Articulate the pelvis and let the rest of the body follow that drive. The core engine is in the deep belly and in the pelvis. Pushing against the earth, pulling against the air. Just find ways we're just earth dancing, slow. Go ahead and make your way up into a squat. It doesn't matter what it is, an asymmetrical squat or a symmetrical squat, doesn't matter. And slowly continue at your slow velocity, deep engagement, begin to move within the squat. Now you're going to find more is available in an asymmetrical squat, and usually we refer to that as one foot being in front. A lot of variation in how much the hips turn in or out, how much you push into the ground with your hands. So we really do have to recover our sense of monkey business, monkey play. Here you are in a squat, close to the earth, hands and feet both all on the planet. Moving around, you can walk a little bit and slide if you're off of a mat. It's easier. You can step 1 foot forward and suddenly on the other side you can turn around, pivoting. We call it, it's a navigational key, pivot or turn. And then go half as fast and twice as strong. That's maybe difficult, as we mentioned before, in the legs. So grab onto the ground more with your toes. The feet are more active. That means your knees will be more supported. Try to also point the feet and the knee above that foot in the same direction most of your life. Especially when you're load bearing like this. It's knee therapy. It takes a couple of years, but you will get your knees back. Try a long squat. Take 1 foot further out in front. And opening the sole of that back foot, whatever the foot is underneath the pelvis. It's so good for the plantar fascia. Here I find myself, look at this, turn your back leg out, everybody. Take your front leg and turn it out and outer blade of the foot. Dip the knee out to the side. Put your hands between your inner thighs and just kind of rock around inside of this shape. So this is the key of squatting, another human shape. These are gateways into movement, into variation. That's where you find your medicine, is in the variability. Change it up. Take the other leg out in front. How do you do that? Turn the front leg out, the back leg out. You're on the ball of the back foot and the outer blade of the front foot. Hands inside. You should be really working the arms and chest here. As you push down into the ground, hands turned out. You're just kind of throwing the earth side to side, front to back, lovingly. Push the outer blade of the front foot down to keep the hip and the leg engaged so you're not feeling the stretch. The stretch is there, but it's not your focus. It's not an isolated experience. Okay, and then slide that front foot back in to a symmetrical squat. Now the heels can be up, of course, and the hands on the ground. You can also drop the heels if your legs do that. And moving around in this, if you're more symmetrical, like I'm here with everything turned forward, it's more limited, but it's deeper for the hips and the low back. If you go a little wider and turn out a bit, then other things are available. Try coming up onto the balls of the feet, turn the legs out like a frog, okay? And turning the hands out. Push the elbows against the inner knees. And hug the knees into the elbows, the arms resisting, so the inner thigh and hip work. And then we're going to rock side to side, letting one knee come down and touch the back of one hand. Once again, the movement is coming from your orientation to core. And in this reciprocity, what we want to do is move the planet side to side with hands and feet. Now, at first, maybe the mind struggles with that. It's such a huge metaphor. But all of the mass of the planet has inertia. And we're moving it side to side. So it informs our movement in ways that I will never be able to teach, but that you already know. It's just a matter of remembrance. Take the hands a little wider so as the hips open up, the knees go wider, the feet are very close. And now lift the hips. Lift the hips slowly. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Drop your head to the key of folding. This is one of our favorites because it's, first of all, it's bipeds, and we're going to do this probably more often. Although I know most people I know don't do this once throughout the day. But here you are, folding at the hips. It describes the hinging of the hips, flexion of the spine. And we're moving side to side now. Now, some of you have been in this practice with me for a while, and if you're new, there's no right or wrong. Right? What I would love for all of you to do is be inspired in how simple and profound it is to move naturally. Where we will be challenged as a culture is how to engage in the right way. There's a general slackness, which you might laugh at because there's so much rigidity too. What we want to do is melt a little bit as we first enter, moving side to side, your hips, your spine, moving side to side. How do you engage? Take it slow. Start with the feet. Start distally. Just see what that feels like. And grab onto the ground with your toes. As the feet are more active, the ankles are harnessed. It travels up the leg to the knee. The knees are more intelligent immediately as soon as the feet wake up. Let the head turn and look around. And turn on the pelvis, buttocks, belly, if you can. And then it travels up. If you push the hands into the ground, the palms down, bending the knees enough, you'll actually lift the kidneys and work the belly core. It's like doing a perpetual sit-up. Work the shoulders, bicep, tricep. In a general sense, you engage in a way that is bone deep, but also somehow miraculously offers spaciousness. Energetically, physiologically, in the joints. Try letting the feet pivot. So if you watch me, you just start to break it loose. One heel lifts. You come up on the ball of one foot. You start earth dancing. Just fancy monkey business here. Try crossing the midline. Take one foot and swing it behind across the midline. Crossing is another navigation key. It's one of the ways that we balance. It's one of the ways we explore. So if the head is stuck, if the neck is rigid, try letting the head swivel while you continue to move, still crossing the midline in your fold. You should be getting mighty toasty, working deeply. Uncross and cross the other way. The other foot behind the midline. So remember that the pelvis is your movement. That's the fulcrum. That's the pivot. Is that in this regard, the pivot, the playful pivot, is the translation through the core pelvis, down through the legs and up through the spine. Oh, yeah, slow and strong, everyone. 30 seconds before we rest. If you turn to one side, quarter turn to one side, uncross, you're in a crouch, another key, a key of crouching. It can be short or long. When you start to fatigue, you turn around, you pivot 180 degrees the other way, and you end up the other side in front, the other foot in front. Slower, really slow, like almost intolerably slow, or you tremble a little bit, maybe, if you're engaged. Slow, very strong. Turn out of the crouch, set your hands down, and slide into a seat. And come lying down on your back, because you've done a ton of work already. And when you push your legs out long, like you would in Shavasana at the end of the yoga class, be aware of your back channel, everything that is close to or touching the floor. Let this invite an exhalation that flows down the back of the body, from the back of the brain, down through both sides of the spine like twin rivers flowing side by side, right to the sacroiliac joints, down through the sacral complex to the sits bones, and then continuing down through the backs of the legs and out through the soles of the feet. And this is your back channel. And this is, in Chinese medicine, is bladder meridian, bladder intelligence, which is all about letting go and having the discernment of the boundaries around that release and the discernment to know what you're releasing. So exhale down the back, not as a technique, but as awareness. And see if you can't experience almost a choice to release the heels further downstream off of the back of the cranium. Recovering much of the length of the spine. Feel the intervertebral spaces between the hard vertebrae of the spine, opening up now, like sponges, saturated and long. And then the heart begins to settle a little closer to the earth, trusting and even blossoming, if you will. Open the space behind your eyes. Blossoming behind the eyes. Drop the kidneys onto the ground. And yet, through your entire system, I hope that you feel the abundance, a deep saturation of life, of blood, of awareness. You feel, for lack of a better way of putting it, pleasantly pumped. So you've been active globally. I want you to feel what that is doing for you right now. And bend the knees, walk the feet in towards the hips. So I'm sure everyone in here is familiar with like bridge pose from yoga. We do some variations to strengthen the back channel after having, so in the fold, we were lengthening and clearing the back channel. Now we're going to strengthen it. So slide just your left leg forward, almost straight, and you'll be on the back of the left heel that's on the floor. The left toe is pointing out. The left leg is almost straight. Right foot is in close to the buttocks. Arms down by your sides. We're going to pull both feet down into the ground and lift up off the floor a little bit. Just a few inches off the ground. And start to move side to side with your hips. And your legs are going to sway with your pelvis and keep the pelvis elevated the whole time. Just a little bit. It's a low bridge, a low split bridge. And your variations here are going to be your own. What's possible as you move side to side. Maybe the head turns and looks one way. But it's really important to keep the left knee bent a little bit and pull both feet down into the ground, even though it's the sole of the right foot and only the back of the left heel. Pulling into the ground. Lift the pelvis a little higher. Walk your left foot in. Keep your hips at this height and slide the right leg forward. So the back of the right heel is now on the ground. Continue to move side to side. So please understand, everybody, it is the complexity added by the movement that makes this so medicinal. How you have to engage the entire time in your back channel, and yet you're moving around in that strength. That is increasing or recovering the intelligence of the body, of the person, the organism. Hips a little higher, walk the right foot back in, take the hips pretty much all the way up, extend the left leg again, and continue to move side to side. And notice, are you using your shoulders? Pull the shoulders into the ground powerfully. Super powerfully the entire time. You can make fists, just don't make a fist between your eyebrows, just in your hands. Strengthen heart, pericardium, and lung. Oh, slide the left foot back in. The hips even higher if you can. Take the right leg forward one more time. Continue to move side to side. Wow. Don't forget to turn the head every once in a while. The head will get stuck when things get a little dicey. Okay, now walk the right foot back in. Let the pelvis slowly come down to the ground. Still moving side to side a little bit. Laying the pelvis down. Extend the legs again, long out in front of you. So at first you might feel things like a circulatory response, spaciousness, heating and or cooling. You might experience a sense of spaciousness, freedom even. These things feel so good that we wonder, wow, how long has it been since we last moved? There's no judgment in that. But just please recognize and acknowledge how with relatively little, just a few minutes, can have profound changes in your overall state of being. So lay your hands on the pelvis, on the front of the hip bones. And staying on your back in the key of supine, we actually consider this is lying down as a huge gateway into movement. Start to move the pelvis around while you lay on the ground. So it's like basically just imagine yourself dancing very subtly on your back. The thing is you want to go really slow and really strong. And this can be super, like feel super exposed, okay? Or even vulnerable. And this is why when we engage through the buttocks, we engage through the legs, like slightly pulling the heels down into the ground. We engage the belly to the spine, the hollow belly. Then it starts to feel like it's not so vulnerable as much as it is just necessary. Moving the pelvis around, there's little back bends, there's little twists, there's side bends, and you've got to feel this. And take the hands off the pelvis, keep the tone of your body, and start to move around a little bit more. You might lift the hips off the ground every once in a while on a really long bridge with the legs pretty much straight. Or just find your own way, but keep your tone, your tonality consistent. Oh, and slide the feet in towards the hips. Now touch the heels together, everybody. Take the knees out away from each other. Like supine Baddha Konasana in yoga. Lay your fingertips to the inner thigh, touching the bundles of muscle that pop up naturally towards the ceiling, those are the adductors from the shape that we're in the legs. And so let the fingertips kind of walk around and gently probe between the bundles of the adductor space, close to the hips, close to the groin. And then add to this, just close your eyes. Press your inner heels together more and more deeply. The inner heels pressing into each other. So you're actually working the hamstrings. You should feel that even in your hands. And the adductors soften a little bit when you close the heels. They pull the balls of the feet away from each other, so only the heels touch. Now push the blades of the feet down, the pinky toe side of the feet, down into the ground without lifting the hips. Here comes the hard part. Keep all of that, okay? And then pull the knees away from each other like you're breaking the knees out against a giant rubber band that binds them. Broadening and very strong. Turn the buttocks on. And now point your sitting bones forward and down, creating a little back bend. And then bring the belly to the floor energetically and somewhat physically. Hold that for 5 breaths. Knees broadening, heels closing, feet pushing down, sits bones pointing forward and down, belly hollow. Roll the shoulders into the ground. 2 more breaths. Keep it very strong, very strong. Now keep all your strength as you push the legs back out to the long rest on your back. And give this several moments to be felt. And we become skilled in our capacity to shed residual tension or embodied inertia from things that have already come to pass. Like we're done with what we just did, but you're going to feel it for a while. So locally releasing is complementary to local engagement. You know, on the outside, someone watching you practice may not look like much, but when you're engaged at this level and subtly aware at this level, it's huge. Walk your feet back in and make your creative way up to a seat. And let's sit cross-legged with the right leg in front. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of pelvic focus. So lay the hands on the knees and Let the pelvis fall back. And as you do so, drop your chin and let the shoulders round. And then scoop the low belly backwards towards the sacrum. Turn the buttocks on gently. Hook your sitting bones into the floor. Pull the ground back to lean the pelvis forward as far as it will go. Okay, now while you're forward in the pelvis, you can have a little bit of a back bend. Try not to lead with the diaphragm, just lead with the pelvis. Because what we're going to do is first we're just going to go back and forth, back to front and front to back on the midline. So the pelvis rolls back and there's flexion to the spine. You can drop your chin. And then when the pelvis rolls forward of its own, under its own power, there's a little bit of a back bend. So you can roll the shoulder blades close. You can look up a little bit and then let the pelvis fall back. The trick is to let the pelvis move first. The head moves last. Okay, pelvis first, head last. And this is a huge cultural complementary medicine where the head is almost always first and the pelvis is being dragged around by the mind. The other brain, the other side of the brain in the gut does not appreciate that at all. So on your own, pelvis leans forward and then leans back. Did you know that of all of the neurological connections between the brain and the gut-brain axis, only 10% of those connections flow down. The other 90% flow up. Now, I would ask you to think about that for a little while. Think about your life. How much are you listening to your gut? How much are you listening to instinct and intuition? Especially in the collective fear, I say this lovingly, that has been stirred by the pandemic. Pelvis first, head last. It's a good way to live life. It requires tremendous trust, tremendous insight, wisdom. Just a few more rounds, everybody, before we switch the way the legs are crossed and then enhance this. So feel the orchestration. What is necessary to let this move deeply and fully? Okay, now we're going to take the left leg in front. And this time what we're going to do is kind of make so see yourself from above. You're going to trace like an infinity pattern, a sideways figure 8 with your pelvis. We're going to start by taking the pelvis back and over to the left. Okay, so you're back on the left sitting bone. Then you're going to travel forward on the left side as far forward as you can. And then over to leaning as far forward as you can to the middle. Fall back through the middle and then hook over to the right. So your posterior rotated back on the right side. Now lean forward on the right side, right sitting bone pulls back, and then curve around to the front, to the middle, fall back through the middle, the infinity sign, symbol, over to the left, and then sit as far forward as you can on the left side, travel around to the front middle. So you get the picture, coming back through the middle, over to the right. So continue in your way, in your body, tracing this infinity loop. And you're going to notice as you orbit through the shape that there can be a lot of bumps along the way. Lots of places that feel like, wow, I just can't access that corner of the movement. And this is a thing to be aware of. As we begin to recognize our patterns, our personal patterns, wherever they may come from. So the arms begin to take off, and now the head begins to turn and look about, even though you can, so talk about pelvic intelligence, you can still trace and track your figure 8, your infinity in the pelvis, while the head sort of just kind of looks around and can stay connected more deeply to the pelvis as it releases its own attention. Boy, turn the buttocks on, keep the belly strong, and then that means the belly all the way around the lower torso. belly's not just your rectus abdominis. You're talking about the obliques and transversus that run full perimeter. So here you are doing very advanced hula hooping. I don't know what that would look like, but is everyone tracking this? Are you able to find this? And notice how the diaphragm starts to kind of make things happen. Like, look at me for a second. So if the pelvis is kind of immobile, you're like, I got this, no problem, right? And that's just gonna piss off your sacrum. So pelvis first, right? It's much more subtle. The belly, one of the responsibilities of the belly is to translate the intelligence of the pelvis, which means that upward signal coming up to the upper body from the pelvis is the responsibility of the belly. This is huge. Usually the belly's in the lead, falsely. It's a projection of the ego, actually. Third chakra, out of control. This is far more powerful to move pelvis first. Just another 30 seconds, okay, maybe one or two more orbits, depending on your speed. Arms are strong, like can you tone everything? It is attention. It's a tension that is attention through the entire system. As devout as the heart is committed, as the heart fibers your whole body, the same tone, the same song. Oh, yes, good, everybody. And then pause. Good. Now take your legs out wide. And we do this one often. This is one of the best ways to delaminate the inseam from the back of the leg. So the knees are bent. What we do by this is we don't take it all the way straight. We can easily do that, but that's one limit of a joint. I want to have a little more potentiality, so we bend the knee. We're going to lean in on one side, pass through the middle to the other side. And notice when you're over a leg, you're in a bit of a side bend. Forward bending, side bend, blend functionally. It's a really good place to be. Come back up and then go back in on one side, sweep through the middle, over the other side and come back up. So now, keep it kind of loose at first. The backs of the legs are going to work by way of necessity, but you can kind of keep the upper body relatively softer. And what you're going to do is slowly decelerate by turning on more of your body. Now, this is an interesting thing. It's like, how do you self-resist? Self-resistance may not invoke the right energy. What I'm going for here is when you engage the moment and move within the moment, and you explore deeper range of motion, which is parallel with deeper range of experience. What you're actually doing in self-resistance is teaching yourself boundaries. So are you strong enough to lean in over that left leg without feeling stretch? I'm pulling the left heel down so full on that the back of the leg is fully engaged, and that keeps the stretch out of the picture. So you'll increase your flexibility quicker this way than just stretching, and it's sustainable. It will last. So we don't pull against flesh. We work it. We find the functional movement. A couple more moments. You should be getting pretty tired in the legs, which is a good thing. Wrap the bones more deeply. Stronger belly, stronger buttocks, stronger body. Open lungs, open heart, soft eyes. And then come on up and you, with your hands, bring the knees, bend the knees, fingertips behind the knees, and sit cross-legged. Okay. Close your eyes, and there is much to experience. Cultivating subtlety. Subtlety, that is evident in nature. It's everywhere because nature has been experimenting to see what it can become forever, relatively speaking. So at the very root of our being, right? I'm just suggesting this as strongly as I tend to do. You know, you might be an architect, you might be a yoga teacher, you might be whatever the society labels you as, you label yourself as, but underneath that, through you as an embodied human, source is asking itself, what can I become? It wants to play, it wants to experiment and explore. This is what you're feeling right now. The juiciness of just a little bit of that play, deeply engaged, closer to nature. Okay, everybody, let's do a little bit of shoulder work. So take the left leg in front. We're going to rock side to side and taking a hand down. Remember to keep the elbow close to the kidney. Lean in just halfway, third of the way. Don't go all the way straight away, even if you can. Like I can easily, but it's not about how far you can go. It's about meeting the moment. And the warm up is not a warm up. It's just a small range of motion at first, doing the very thing that you're doing. So you'll open up pretty quickly. Some of you may take more time. If you feel like the shoulder is not up there, then you're going to take your other hand to the floor and assist. So you'll be on the palm of the loaded hand, maybe the fingertips of the assisting hand. Also, with the left leg in front, look at this. When you go over to your right side, come over to your right side, everybody, and load the right shoulder. The left leg can set. The knee is up, the foot is down, and then push up. But the right leg won't do that. When you go to your left, the right leg is in a different situation geometrically. So you're stretching that outer ankle, the middle to the side of the foot. So play with that. Another reminder too is in the loaded hand, you definitely don't want to put a lot of weight on the pinky finger side of the wrist, the ulnar wrist. It's going to do that. It's going to try to do that because the shoulder is tight. Put it into the index and the thumb. That's where your weight is. Grab on with your fingertips. Fiercely, your claws sinking into the earth. Acupuncture for the planet. Oh, so good. Pull the shoulder blades together as you go all the way in and keep the kidneys behind you. What does that mean? It means don't let the low front ribs explode forward. Keep them a little bit closer to the back. So good for the sacrum, so good for the hips. And we're opening up the two side bodies, gallbladder, wood elements here in the spring. It's very important. And the shoulders don't get a lot of love unless you have a separate strength practice. Wow, you can put the temple on the ground. You can let one temple kiss the earth. Don't bonk, just kiss. Oh my goodness, you get this fantastic, beautiful warmth. Okay, now as you go into one side, look down and touch the forehead to the floor. Use your free hand if you need to. Okay, remember to keep the elbow in close. The shoulder head pulls as far away from the floor as you can. Touch the forehead. Just another round or two. Stronger legs. If the buttocks have turned off, try to turn them on, and they support so much. Okay, and then come on up. Wow, you know what? Just why don't we just lay down? Spontaneously. Take your arms out wide, palms up. Walk your shoulder blades a little bit down your back. And again, everyone, the great gifts of what you have given yourself through the conscious movement. Exhale and release your bones underneath it all. You'll feel even more. Imagine the groin, the inner crease of the hip, melting forward and down. That's the same as the sits bones pointing forward and down in a way that brings the slightest back bend to the lower spine. The lumbar vertebrae floating off the ground. And then keep that depth, that D-E-P-T-H of the groin as the low belly drops towards the sacrum and the middle belly drops to the deep belly. And the upper front ribs drop to the kidneys. You're actually toning your hollow belly towards the floor, but without tucking the pelvis. So for 30 seconds, point the sits bones forward and down more enthusiastically. Turn the buttocks on and hug the fabric of the belly, tapestry of the belly closer to the ground. Closer to the ground, but keep the groin deep, which means you're not tucking your pelvis. You know, keeping the strength in the core, even trembling a little bit, okay? Relax any residual tension from the neck, the eyes, the ears, tongue, all of the skin. And right across the bridge of the nose, relax. Across the cheekbones, relax. Stay strong in the core. The head gets to receive rather than create. Very nice. And bend the knees, walk the feet in, and let's come up to another seat. All right. So I'd love to get into these two sequences for you that we almost always do a couple of phrases at the end of class. We're going to start sitting with the right leg in front. And here we go. Let's go slow. We're going to repeat these phrases so you'll get into a flow. So with the right leg crossed in front, we're going to lean to the right and push again just one time. Oh, so yummy. And if your shoulders are not strong, use your free hand. Your shoulders will catch up if you stay with this practice. Come all the way up. Now go over to your left side and check this out. Set your right leg. Lean into your left arm. You can use your right hand too. Fly your right leg way out to the right. Pick up the heel higher than the toes. Turn the toes towards the floor. Immediately rotating the right leg. Then as you come up, bring your right leg out in front of you and cross the right knee over the left knee. Okay, so let's take it from the top. It's like dance moves. Right leg in front. Push right. Conscious. Super tone, super conscious. Push back up. Lean left, push left, and fly your right leg out. Heel higher than the toes. Oh, now come on up and cross the right knee over the left knee like Gomukhasana. Gomukhasana. In yoga, I almost said Gumukhasana. That works too. Now check this out. Take your left hand just behind you. Thumb forward. Turn and look over your right shoulder. Put your right hand on your right knee. Okay, push down on the right knee with your right hand. Push down and forward with your right hand on the knee and turn the head and look over the right shoulder. Now turn your belly and hips to the left. So pull the left hand down into the ground and forward using the left bicep. So turn the pelvis to the left, rotating, turning the head to the right. So it's active through the neck, the eyes are soft. Okay, and then releasing the twist. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn to our right. Just take your right leg off, turn around, come right up into an asymmetrical squat with the right foot leading. Move around in this for a moment. Hands on the ground, or not. You can take the hands off the floor, take all the weight into the feet. And then we're going to lift the hips into a very short crouch. Now we're going to take the legs pretty long in this variation. And the crouch is just an asymmetrical fold. And basically what you're doing is just kind of rocking forward and back and playing with variations. And I'll give you some ideas. Turn the front leg in or out. Try lifting the heel or lifting the ball of the foot, or do the opposite, do both. Like check this out. I'm on the ball of my left and I'm on the heel of my right. My legs turned out. You know, I'm not going to teach you, can't teach you how to dance. You know how to move. The trick is unbinding our culture, our culturated, if I could say that, minds, and remember that you know how to move. Now we're going to just drop the left leg back into the shape of a lunge. And in the long, deep space of a lunge, there's a lot that you can do. Mostly just moving the pelvis wherever she can go, turning the legs in or out, and going slow enough and strong enough to feel it all, and to support yourself. Very slowly turn a quarter turn to your left. And then continue another quarter turn to your left. But this time, set up like warrior two legs. So you're going to turn your left leg out and bend the left knee like a lunge. But the back leg is turned out. You're going to keep a little bend in the back knee. Take the hands inside the front foot, look on your fingertips and look down. Just stay here for a moment and breathe. See if you can soften a little. And then take the whole right side of the body away from the ground like side angle. Bending the left knee. It's not a pose. There are micro movements. So now bend the back knee, shift your hips back away from the left foot. Then rebend the left knee, and push back through the right heel. Do it all over again, picking up the right side of the body. I put both palms down on the floor. We're going to pass the left leg underneath us into like a crossing plank, but you're going to turn your hips a little bit to the right. Now bring your left knee to your right elbow, and then your left knee over to your left elbow, and then go back to where you started, crossing the left leg underneath. Then so check this out. Bend your knees, like almost like a down dog. The legs are crossed, left leg in front, and you're pressing back like a down dog. Okay, kind of crouching in your plank. Now go back to crossing plank. Bring the left knee to the right elbow, and over to the left, and then slide it underneath and crouch again. Sit back. We'll do this 3 times per side. Back to your crossing plank. It's the same plank. Now bring your left knee to the left elbow, left knee to the right elbow, crossing plank. Go back one more time. And then from here, turn to the right. You're going to have a seat, sitting with the left leg in front as best you can. Pause for a moment, because you are stimulated and feeling the sweet quickening. And especially give some TLC, everyone, to the release of neck, head, shoulders, arms, upper body. The freedom of the upper lung and the heart. Wow. Okay, here we go. So lean to your left. I'm going to push left. Really pull that shoulder blade away from the floor, left shoulder blade. And then come on up, and we're going to push right. But as we push right, 1 or 2 hands, take your left leg and fly it off to the left and up into the sky, heel higher than the toes. Then as you come up, cross your left knee over your right knee. 1 semi-graceful move. Set the right hand down a little bit behind your thumb forward. And pull the ground. So what I'm doing here, watch me, is I'm going to grab the ground and pull the ground forward to turn the lower body to the right a little, and then look over your left shoulder. So we need sustainable twisting needs a strong counter rotation. From the diaphragm down, turn right. From the diaphragm up, turn left. Pull the right shoulder back. Put the left hand down on the left knee and push them down and forward. Turning the head a little more, but the belly looks right. Sacrum looks right. Good. Now from here, we're going to release. Now just roll. Take the left leg off. Turn to your left. Walk it to the asymmetrical squat left with you, and move around. Yeah. And from here, keep the feet, lift the hips. In a long-legged, short stance in a crouch, the key of crouching, the key of folding, and they blend. It doesn't really matter. We don't have to label too specifically. You're folding at the hips, left foot is in front, you're moving forward and back, you're dancing slowly, picking up the heel, picking up the ball of the foot, letting the neck and the head be free enough to look around within the play, which I find is just this geometrical expansion of the upper branches, just the head and neck moving around, the eyes changing. Slide the right leg back into a lunge. So that's another key. There's 7 shape keys, just loosely. Key of lunging. Left leg is in front still. And we're moving around, seeing what we can do. See what wants to come into being. And then slowly turn around to your right. Quarter turn at first to the wide legs, and then continue moving. Slow and subtle and so strong. Turn all the way around to the right. Now you can set up warrior two legs, but I like to, or like side angle legs if I'm just using yoga context. The back heel though, I'm going to keep a little bit off the floor and the left knee a little bent. Take all your fingertips to the floor inside your right foot and just lift your left side away from the ground. Bring your right hip underneath you. Don't lock the back knee. Now bend the right knee forward. Simultaneously, the left heel reaches back and down. Do not lock any joint or any part of your being. Breathe and micro move within this. In fact, slide the hips way back, the front leg getting straight, the back leg bending. And then rebend the right knee, push the left heel back, lift the left hip. And put both hands down and slide the right leg underneath, crossing in your plank. Turn your hips a little bit to your left. Okay? We're going to bring the right knee to the left elbow, and then the right knee to the right elbow, and then pass the right leg back underneath. And then sit back like in a down dog, but bend your knees, crouching, dropping your chest, spread your shoulder blades, and everybody pick up your kidneys. Come back to your cross plank. Bring the right knee to the right elbow, right knee to left elbow, and then pass the leg back and cross and head back into your cross down dog, crouch thing asana. Once again, keep the weight off the little finger side of the wrist. One more time. So the crossing plank, bring the right knee to the left elbow, right knee to the right elbow, pass the right leg underneath and cross, and then sit back, lift the hips, bend the knees. Turn the biceps towards the sky. Straight from here, turn to your left, have a seat, right leg in front. Coming out of that, you might find your hair is slightly more savage than usual. Oh, so the flesh, feel the flesh, right? Give it room to just do its thing. Let the heart thunder. We have to become masters of release. Okay, so let's roll through this one more time. So we're going to push to our right hand or both hands. And we'll flow through it this time. And we come back up and push on your left side, but then fly your right leg out and up. Toes down a little. As you come up, cross the right knee over the left knee. Establish a strong right hand turn through the lower half of the body and a strong left hand turn of the head, looking over your left shoulder. Sorry, everyone. Take your left hand behind you, turn to your right, turn into the top side hip. So we got a bonus round there. Turn the lower body to the left and the upper body to the right. Both sides work, but this is even better, turning into the top side hip. And then we're going to let go, uncross, turn to your right, asymmetrical squat, right foot leading just for a moment. And then we're going to lift the hips into a short crouch or fold. Right foot is still in front. Just moving here for a moment. Strong and slow. Slide the left leg back, way back into a lunge. Yep. And turn around to the left 180 degrees. Sit up on the side angle or warrior two legs. Just lift the right hip, bend the left knee, unlock the back. Put both hands down. Slide the left leg underneath in a cross plank. Okay, and we'll bring the left knee to the right elbow, and then over to the left elbow. And then recross, left leg underneath. And then reverse, bring the left knee to the left elbow, right elbow, and cross. We'll do the dog last. One more time, bring the left knee to the right elbow, to the left elbow, recross, lift the hips, and crouch in your crossed dog. And then go ahead and have a seat. Left leg will be in front as you turn to your right, 90 degrees. And push left, staying in the flow. Coming up, push right, and as you do so, and again, careful with the shoulder, fly the left leg, long to the left, heel up, and come up, left knee on top, face. Let's just do what we did on the other side, okay? So first, turn the whole lower body left and look over your right shoulder briefly. Establishing that strong counter rotation to the left below the diaphragm, and then let that go, okay? Set your right hand down behind you, turn the head to the left, but turn from the diaphragm down to the right. Very, very powerfully. Pull the right shoulder back, the right kidney back. Oh, that little trembling through the whole system is so good. And then releasing, turn to your left leg comes up. Asymmetrical squat, left foot lead. Go ahead and lift the hips. Left foot still leads in a short asymmetrical fold. Ah, so good, everybody. Slide the right leg back into the shape of a lunge. Turn all the way around to your right. Very conscious of your transition. Slow. Take care of your joints. Avoid the stretch. Set up warrior two legs. Lifting the left side of the body. Parsvakonasana. You know the Sanskrit for the side angle in yoga. The left side would be lifting. Deeply bending the right knee. Unlock the back knee. I also like to float the back heel. Gives more room to go deeper. Okay, both hands down inside the front foot. Right leg crosses underneath. Now bring the right knee to the left elbow, and then to the right elbow, and then recross. Right knee to right elbow, just making these teardrop shapes to left elbow and recross. Right knee to left elbow, to right elbow, recross, lift the hips, and you're crossing, crouching, down dogging. And turning to your left, sit right leg in front. And pause. Okay, let's come up to standing for the last sequence, everyone. Recalling this phrase from recently. It's really, I find it super meditative and really pretty simple too. Okay, so at standing, it's very simple. What we're going to do is first we coil, drop in. So where locked knees yield consciously, they bend, and we drop a little bit, and the sits bones pull back. Soft from the side to the screen. Where we tend to be locked, we bend, drop a little, sits bones pull back, and we're more capable. Okay, so here we go. First thing you're going to do is shift your hips to your left a little, turn to your right like you're going to do cat stance, and just step the right foot out a little. Then slowly transfer your weight onto the right leg. Okay. And what we're going to do is drop the chest and push the left leg back and up, kind of like doing half moon, but keep the standing leg bent. Pick up the kidneys, soften the brow. Then still balancing on the right leg, come up and cross the left knee over the right knee, kind of like eagle, but then land the left foot on the ground. Transfer your weight onto the front leg. Catch your right ankle with your left hand. Stay here for a moment. Release that foot. Bring the right leg around over the top. Bring your knee up high and cross the right knee over the left knee and land the right foot. Transferring the weight onto the right leg as you stand up, take a big step back with your left foot, and then drag the right heel to you like this. And then turn to your left, like a soft cat stance. Slowly transfer your weight forward onto your left leg. Bend the left knee, drop the chest, press the right leg back and up. Keeping the standing knee bent. As you stand, come up, cross the right knee over the left knee. Landing the ball with the right foot. Balance on the right leg, catch the left ankle with the right ankle. Release the foot, bring the left leg high in front. Dropping the left knee over the right knee and touching the ball with the left foot. Transfer your weight onto the front leg, the left leg. Take a big step back with the right foot, uncrossing, drag your left heel to you. Excuse me, and turn out to zero. Okay, here we go. So let's run 3 times through this before we rest. Okay, so turn to your right, a quarter turn, soft cat stance. And then step forward, load the right leg, push the left leg back. Now, bend your right knee more, lift the left leg. Stand up, cross the left knee, over the right knee. Drop the chest and touch the left foot. Transfer your weight onto the left leg. Catch the right ankle with your left hand. Release the foot. The right leg flies up in front, knee high, chambering. Cross the right knee over the left knee. Touch the right foot. Transfer your weight onto your right leg. As you stand, take a big step back to the left foot. Drag the right heel to you as you turn to the left to zero. Continue turning left. Cat. Load the left leg, bend the knee, fly the right leg back. Heel is higher than the toes. Stand up, cross the right knee to the left. Touch the ball of the right foot. Transfer all your weight to the front leg, catch your left ankle, keep your right hand, pause. Release the foot, stand, chamber the left knee high, cross the left knee over the right knee, touch. Continue transferring weight onto the left leg, take a big step back to the right foot, drag the left heel to you. Beautiful. Pause in the middle for a moment. Okay, so the last 2 rounds will be continuous. Turn to your right, slow cat stance with a soft cat. Load the right leg. Bend the knees. Lean into it. Press the left leg back. Up. Standing, cross the left knee over the right and touch. Grounding the eagle. Transfer your weight onto your left leg. Catch the right ankle behind you with your left hand. Release that foot. Bring the right knee out in front, way up high. Cross right over left. Touch. Load the right leg. Step back with the left foot. And as you stand, you pull the right heel in. Turn to your left. Cat stance, left foot leading. Step forward onto the left leg, already bending. Push the right leg back and up. Come on up. Cross the right, over the left. Land the right foot. Balance on the right leg. Catch the left ankle. Release the left ankle. Left knee high in front over the top. Left foot down in front. Transfer your weight to the left leg. Step back with the right and drag the left to you. Last round. Turn to the right. Cat. Bend and load. Look where I'm at, right here. Here's the start point. Push the left leg back, up, keeping standing bent. Stand, bring the left knee on top. Touch the left foot. Stand on the left leg, catch the right ankle. Release the foot, chamber the right knee high in front. Cross over again, right or left. Touch. Step the left foot back, big step. Drag the right heel. Turn left. This is it. Last half the sequence. Left foot leading. Bend the knees. Translate forward on the left leg. Fly the right. Back and up. Come on up. Cross right or left. Touch. Very nice, everyone. Balance on the right. Catch the left ankle. Release the left ankle. Left knee high and up. Crossing left or right. Load the left leg. Step it back. Drag the heel. Turn out to 0. Pause. No, immediately unlock everything. Especially the sides of the cranium, jaw, hinges, temples, inner outer ear. Move your hips gently side to side, very slow, very deliberate. Very good. And then coming down to a squat. And having a seat. Come lying down on your back. The key of supine. Rest. When you find the mind taking you on a journey, whether it be by my reminder or your own discernment, to simply let go of the thought stream by feeling the deep sacral belly temple. It's like leaping off the back of an eagle to find that you can spread your own wings of presence. The mind can continue in its way to journey. However, the discernment that is your essence, part of your essence, is going to be something that you feel instead of think. And so the mantra is to return to that simple, profound statement, I am. And relax the pelvic floor and unfurl the tail and breathe your sacrum. Stay close to the earth. open the sky. Perhaps there are even deeper levels of release. No matter how wide and deep you're feeling right now, there's always more. And it will be closer to the bone, closer to the mid-space, where you find some of the deeper medicine. Please be conscious of your transition from your rest to the flow of the rest of your day. First movements come in time. First, there's just a landing of the awareness into the breath of life. And enjoy the movement, returning to a seat in time. Beautiful, beautiful practice, everyone. It's an honor to move with you. Thanks for coming out. And I hope to see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Blessings. Deepest gratitude. Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
Thanks so much, Sean. This was just so filling.